The words didn't just sting, they severed something I didn't know could be cut. "You're not welcome here until you apologize, Aitana." Rosa stood in the doorway of my house, the house I bought 34 years ago with my last savings, the house where I raised my son alone, the house whose mortgage I paid off through double shifts and sleepless nights. And she was telling me I couldn't come in. I stood on the porch holding a grocery bag in one hand and a homemade birthday cake in the other. Strawberry cream, Bruno's favorite since he was 7 years old. The plastic container was still warm from my kitchen, from the kitchen. Apparently it wasn't mine anymore. Behind Rosa I could see my son, Bruno, 37 years old, 6 feet tall, but in that moment he looked small. His eyes wouldn't meet mine. They darted to the floor, to his wife's shoulder, to anywhere but his mother's face. "Bruno," my voice came out smaller than I intended. He cleared his throat. "Mom, you crossed too many lines." Lines. In my own house. Lines I didn't know existed until I crossed them. "I just reorganized the pantry," I said, and even as the words left my mouth, I heard how absurd they sounded. How small. How impossible that this reorganizing shelves I'd organized for 3 decades could be the thing that locked me out of my own home. "It's not about the pantry," Rosa said, and her voice had that careful, measured tone she used in her marketing presentations. Professional, detached. "It's about respect for boundaries." Boundaries. That word again. It had become her favorite over the past 2 years, ever since she and Bruno moved in. Since I gave up my master bedroom. Since I started asking permission to use my own kitchen. "I understand," I heard myself say, though I didn't. Not really. Rosa's hand moved to the door. Not slamming it, that would have been dramatic, and Rosa didn't do drama. Just a gentle, firm push. The door closed with a soft click. Then came the sound that would replay in my mind for weeks, the turn of the lock. Click. Such a small sound. A nothing sound. The kind you hear 100 times a day and never think about. But this one rearranged something in my chest. I stood there for a moment, grocery bag growing heavy, the birthday cake beginning to slide in my grip. Through the frosted glass panel beside the door, I could see their silhouettes moving away. Back to their lives. Back to my house that was no longer mine. I looked down at the spare key in my palm. The metal was warm from being clutched too tightly. I'd had this key made in 1991, the year after I bought the house. The year after my divorce. The year my son was born. I walked to my car, a 10-year-old Honda Civic parked on the street, because the driveway was for family vehicles now, and I sat behind the wheel. The cake sat beside me in the passenger seat, perfect and pointless. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't drive back and pound on the door. I just breathed. And I remembered. 1990, the purchase. I was 28 years old when I bought this house, and I was terrified. The real estate agent, a woman named Patricia with shoulder pads that could cut glass and a smile that didn't reach her eyes, had tried to talk me out of it. "Are you sure?" she'd asked, glancing at my paperwork. "Single, pregnant. This is a 30-year commitment." I'd placed my hand on my belly 3 months round with Bruno and said, "So is this." The house cost $89,000, which might as well have been $89 million. I was a nurse at County General working the night shift because it paid an extra $2 an hour. My ex-husband Miguel had left 6 months earlier, left me, left the baby he didn't know existed yet, left for a dental hygienist named Stephanie, who didn't have stretch marks or morning sickness. The divorce settlement was a joke. Miguel's lawyer was better than mine, and I walked away with $4,000 and a used Toyota. The house required 20% down, $17,800. I had $14,000 in savings from 3 years of nursing. My mother loaned me the rest, though loan is generous. She gave it to me with the kind of sigh that said I was making a mistake, but she loved me too much to say it. The house was in a quiet neighborhood in suburban California, the kind of place where lawns were mowed on Saturdays, and everyone knew which kids belonged to which parents. It was a modest 2-story with blue-gray siding that was peeling in places, a front porch that slanted slightly to the left, and a backyard that was more dirt than grass. The inspection revealed problems: old pipes, a roof that would need replacing, and 5 years electrical wiring that wasn't up to code. Patricia suggested I walk away. I signed the papers instead. "Why this one?" Patricia asked as she handed me the keys. I looked at the house, my house, and I saw something she didn't. I saw the porch where I'd teach my son to tie his shoes. I saw the kitchen where we'd make birthday cakes together. I saw the backyard where he'd learn to ride a bike. I saw home. Because it's ours, I said. 1991 to 2005. Building a life. Bruno was born in January 1991, 6 weeks before my 29th birthday. 7 pounds 3 ounces with his father's dark hair and my stubborn chin. The nurses at County General threw me a baby shower and the break room cake from Costco and a collection of hand-me-down onesies. They were more family than Miguel ever was. I brought Bruno home to the house on a Tuesday. It was raining, of course it was raining, and I remember standing on that slanted porch, fumbling with my keys while holding an infant car seat, thinking, this is it. This is my life now. The first year was survival. I worked 3 12-hour shifts a week, which meant 3 12-hour shifts of paying a neighbor, Mrs. Chen, $20 a day to watch Bruno. That was $240 a month, nearly a third of my mortgage payment. I ate ramen and peanut butter sandwiches. I wore scrubs that were 2 sizes too big because they were free from the hospital donation bin. I fixed the leaky kitchen faucet myself using a YouTube video and a wrench I bought at the hardware store. But I paid the mortgage. Every single month. Even when it meant choosing between groceries and gas. Even when it meant telling Bruno we couldn't afford the school field trip to the science museum. When Bruno was 7, he asked where his daddy was. We were sitting in the backyard. I'd finally gotten grass to grow, and Bruno was playing with a soccer ball I'd bought at a garage sale for $2. Your daddy lives far away, I said, which was technically true. Miguel had moved to Arizona with Stephanie. Does he miss me? I looked at my son's face, so hopeful, so ready to be loved. I miss you enough for both of us, I said. He nodded, satisfied with this answer in the way children can be satisfied with things that would devastate adults. Then he went back to kicking his soccer ball, and I went back to pulling weeds, and we didn't talk about Miguel again for 5 years. I put myself through nursing school to become a nurse practitioner when Bruno was 10. It meant night classes 3 times a week, while Mrs. Chen, who had become more than a neighbor who had become family, stayed with Bruno. It meant studying at 2 a.m. after 12-hour shifts. It meant falling asleep at red lights and drinking coffee that tasted like regret. But I graduated. And my salary jumped from $45,000 to $72,000 a year. And for the first time since buying the house, I could breathe. Bruno got his braces. He got his baseball equipment. He got a tutor for calculus when he started struggling junior year. He got a used car when he turned 16, a Toyota Camry with a dented bumper but a solid engine. He got accepted to UCLA. I cried when the acceptance letter came. Not sad tears, proud tears. The kind that hurt because they're so full they can't fit inside your body. We did it, baby, I said, hugging him on that same slanted porch. You did it, Mom, he said back. In 2005, when Bruno was 14, I made the final payment on the house. 15 years early. I'd been putting every spare dollar toward the principal, sacrificing vacations and new furniture and anything that wasn't essential. The day I paid it off, I took Bruno to his favorite restaurant, a pizza place with terrible acoustics and watered-down soda. I told him the house was ours. Completely, totally ours. Does this mean we're rich? He asked, grinning. It means we're free, I said. 2018, when Rosa entered our lives. Bruno met Rosa at a marketing conference in Los Angeles. He was 27, working for a tech startup in San Francisco. She was 24, ambitious, beautiful, and according to Bruno, the smartest person I've ever met. Their first date was at some fusion restaurant I couldn't pronounce. Their second date was a weekend in Napa Valley. By the 3rd month, she was meeting me. Rosa arrived at my house on a Sunday afternoon in May, wearing white linen pants and carrying a bottle of wine that probably cost more than my weekly grocery budget. She had dark hair pulled into a sleek ponytail, perfect posture, and a handshake that was firm without being aggressive. Mrs. Rivera, she said. Bruno talks about you constantly. It's Ms., I corrected gently. And call me Aitana. She smiled a practiced smile I'd realize later. Professional. Aitana, what a beautiful name. We had lunch on the patio. I'd made my famous enchiladas, the ones Bruno begged for every birthday. Rosa ate exactly 3 bites and complimented each one. She asked thoughtful questions about my work at the hospital. She laughed at my stories. She touched Bruno's hand in that easy way people who are in love touch each other. I liked her. I wanted to like her. She made my son happy, and that was enough. After lunch, I gave her a tour of the house. She admired the vintage tile in the bathroom, the built-in bookshelves in the living room, the way the afternoon light came through the kitchen windows. "This house has incredible bones," she said. "Great investment." Investment, that's what she called it. Not home. Investment. Bruno proposed 6 months later. He didn't ask my permission, but he did tell me before he did it, and I appreciated that. The ring was modest, he was still paying off student loans, and Rosa didn't seem to mind. She posted a photo on Instagram with the caption, "He asked, I said yes. Best investment ever." The wedding was in 2019, held in my backyard. I'd spent 3 months transforming it, planting flowers, stringing lights, building an arbor with my own hands. Rosa's family paid for the catering and the photographer, but the venue was mine. My gift to them. It was a beautiful ceremony. Small, only 60 people. Rosa wore a simple white dress. Bruno cried when he saw her walking down the makeshift aisle. I cried watching him cry. At the reception, Rosa's mother, a woman named Patricia, who wore too much perfume and called me dear, in a way that felt condescending, pulled me aside. "You must be so happy," she said. "I am. Bruno is getting such a wonderful start. Rosa's father and I have already bought them a condo in San Francisco, as a wedding gift." I nodded, smiling. "That's very generous." "We just want them to have every advantage," she said, and there was something in her tone, something that said unlike what you could give him. I excused myself to check on the cake. 2020, the beginning of the end. In January 2020, 2 months after the wedding, Bruno called. "Mom, Rosa and I have been talking." I was in my kitchen making soup. "About what, baby?" "About moving. The San Francisco rent is killing us even with the condo, and with COVID, Rosa can work from anywhere now." "Okay," I said slowly. "We were thinking, would you mind if we stayed with you just temporarily? 6 months, maybe a year, just until we save enough to buy something." I stopped stirring. "Stay here. Is that okay? We'd pay rent, help with groceries." I looked around my kitchen, my space, my sanctuary, the place where I'd raised a child alone, where I'd cried over bills and celebrated promotions, where I'd built a life from scratch. "Of course," I heard myself say. "You don't need to pay rent. This is your home." They moved in 3 weeks later. I gave them the master bedroom, the room with the big closet, and the bathroom with the good shower pressure. I moved my things downstairs to the smaller guest room, the one that had been Bruno's childhood bedroom. It felt right somehow, circular. "You don't have to do this," Rosa said as we carried boxes upstairs. "I want to," I said, and I meant it. Family shares. That's what family does. The first month was fine, good even. Rosa was polite, always thanking me for meals, always offering to help clean. Bruno was happy to be home, happy to be near me again. We fell into a routine. I'd work my hospital shifts, they'd work from home, we'd have dinner together most nights. Then March came. COVID lockdown. Suddenly we weren't just living together, we were trapped together. That's when the changes started. Small things first. My coffee mug, a chipped ceramic thing I'd had for 20 years, disappeared from the cabinet. When I asked about it, Rosa said, "Oh, I thought we could refresh the kitchen aesthetic. I ordered a new matching set." My framed photos in the hallway, Bruno as a baby, Bruno's graduation, Bruno and me at his UCLA move-in came down. "We're creating a more cohesive gallery wall," Rosa explained. "Don't worry, I saved your photos in a box in the garage." My Sunday morning routine of making a big breakfast and doing the crossword puzzle at the kitchen table was interrupted. "We sleep in on Sundays," Rosa said, not unkindly. "Would you mind keeping it down?" Keeping it down. In my own house. I started making breakfast in silence. I stopped playing music while I cooked. I began to apologize for existing in my own space. In September, Rosa sent me a Google Doc. "What's this?" I asked, staring at my phone. "Just some household guidelines," she said cheerfully, "to help us all coexist better." I opened the document. It was 3 pages long, single-spaced. Household rules and responsibilities. Kitchen schedule. 7 to 9 a.m. Bruno and Rosa. 12 to 1 p.m. Communal lunch. 6 to 8 p.m. Rosa cooking. Please avoid kitchen during prep time. After 8 p.m. Available for others. Living room usage. Quiet hours. 8 p.m. 8 a.m. TV controlled by consensus. Work calls have priority over personal viewing. Shared spaces. Front hallway. Keep clear of personal items. Dining room. Formal use only. Office former guest room. Bruno and Rosa's workspace. Please knock. There was more. So much more. Rules about thermostats and rules about guests and rules about noise and rules about my life in my house. Bruno appeared in the doorway. Did you see it? I'm reading it now. What do you think Rosa put a lot of work into it? I looked at my son. Really looked at him. When had he become someone who thought I needed rules for my own home? It's very thorough, I said carefully. So you'll follow it? What I wanted to say, this is my house. I bought it. I paid for it. I raised you in it alone. I don't need rules. What I said, of course. I signed my name at the bottom of the Google Doc. My signature looked small on the screen. That was my first mistake. December 2020. The announcement. Rosa made the announcement over dinner. I'd cooked chicken and rice, simple but good, and we were eating at the dining table, the one I'd bought at a yard sale in 1993 and refinished myself. We have news, Rosa said, and she was glowing in that way that could only mean one thing. Bruno reached for her hand. We're pregnant. I dropped my fork. It clattered against the plate too loud in the sudden silence. I couldn't finish. I was crying. Mom, Bruno looked alarmed. I'm happy, I managed. I'm so happy. I'm going to be a grandmother. I stood up, went around the table, hugged them both. Rosa was stiff in my embrace. She always was, but I didn't care. My son was going to be a father. My baby was going to have a baby. When I asked. July, Rosa said. We're 8 weeks along. Do you know what you're having? Too early, but we'll find out. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in my small bedroom, Bruno's old bedroom with the closet that didn't quite close right, and the window that stuck when you tried to open it, and I imagined. A grandchild. Someone to spoil, to love, to watch grow. Maybe this baby would bring us closer. Maybe this was the thing we needed. I was such a fool. March 2021, the takeover. We need to prepare the house for the baby. Rosa said this in the calm, matter-of-fact way she said everything. We were sitting in the living room at a time that was technically outside of living room quiet hours, so I was allowed to be there. Of course, I said. What do you need space, she said. Lots of it. Over the next 3 months, I watched my house transform. The living room where I'd read Bruno bedtime stories, where we'd watched movies together, where I'd fallen asleep on the couch after double shifts became a nursery prep zone. Rosa's words, not mine. Boxes of baby items appeared, a crib still in packaging, a changing table, something called a wipe warmer that cost $89. Can we store these in the garage? I suggested. The garage isn't climate controlled, Rosa said. It's not safe for baby items. So my living room became a storage unit. The office, the former guest room where my parents used to stay when they visited before they passed, became absolutely essential workspace. Rosa needed it for video calls. The door stayed closed. A sign appeared. Meeting in progress. Do not disturb. I stopped knocking after the third time Rosa opened the door with an annoyed expression and a finger to her lips. Then came the bathroom conversation. Aitana, we need to discuss the main bathroom. It was February. Rosa was 4 months pregnant, showing now one hand constantly on her belly in that protective way expectant mothers have. What about it? With the baby coming, we'll need exclusive use, for hygiene reasons. I've been reading about infant immune systems and shared bathrooms can be problematic. Where am I supposed to? There's the half bath downstairs. It's closer to your room anyway. The half bath. A toilet and a sink the size of a cereal bowl. No shower, no bathtub, no space. I'd need to shower, I said. Oh, Rosa looked surprised, like she hadn't considered this. Well, maybe in the mornings before we're up, and you'd need to clean it thoroughly after. I would need to clean my own bathroom after using it in my own house. Okay, I heard myself say. Bruno walked in. Everything good. Your mom's being so flexible, Rosa said, smiling at me. She's letting us have the main bathroom. Letting them have my bathroom. In my house. Bruno kissed his wife's forehead. Thanks, Mom. This means a lot. I nodded, smiled, felt something crack inside my chest. March 2021. The money. I noticed it on a Tuesday. I was checking my bank account, a habit from years of living paycheck to paycheck, even though I was comfortable now, and I saw it. A withdrawal. $15,000 from my savings account. My hands shook as I scrolled through the transaction history. It was dated 2 weeks earlier. Authorized by me. No, not me, but my signature. A digital signature. I called the bank. Yes, Ms. Rivera, that withdrawal was authorized through your joint account holder. My what? Your joint account. You added Rosa Castellano Rivera in January. She has full access. The room spun. I'd signed papers in January. Rosa said they were for the baby medical directive's emergency contacts. I hadn't read them carefully. I'd trusted her. Can you reverse it? I asked. Not without both parties agreeing. I hung up. Sat in my car in the bank parking lot. $15,000. Not enough to devastate me, but enough to hurt. Enough to matter. When I got home, Rosa was in the kitchen drinking her prenatal vitamin smoothie. Rosa, we need to talk. She turned, looking concerned. Is everything okay? The $15,000 from my account. What was that for? Her face, it didn't change at all. Oh, that. The nursery renovations. We're redoing the walls, installing custom shelving, getting the organic carpet. I texted you about it. You texted Rosa I didn't authorize. Aitana, you signed the joint account papers. That means we can access funds for household expenses. The nursery is a household expense. She placed her hand on her belly. For your grandchild. There it was. The weapon she knew I couldn't fight against. You should have asked, I said quietly. I did. In the text. You heart-reacted it. Had I pulled out my phone, scrolled back. There it was. A text from 3 weeks ago. Need $15K for nursery transferring from savings. And below it, my reaction. I'd been at work. Probably saw the blue heart emoji about the baby, reacted without reading, moved on. I'd approved my own robbery through negligence. Oh, I said. Is there a problem? Rosa's voice had an edge now. No problem, she smiled. Good, because Bruno and I are so grateful for your support. You're going to be the best grandmother. I went to my small bedroom and I sat on my small bed and I looked at my bank account and I did not cry. I should have cried. April 2021. Baby Elena. She was born on April 23rd at 3:47 a.m. 7 pounds 9 ounces. Dark hair like Bruno. Rosa's nose. Perfect little fingers that would grip your thumb with surprising strength. I know all this because Bruno called me from the hospital, but I wasn't there. I wasn't invited to be there. Mom, she's here, Bruno said, his voice thick with tears. Elena Grace Rivera. I'll come right now, I said, already grabbing my keys. Actually, Rosa's mom is here, and Rosa wants just close family for the first 24 hours. You know, bonding time. Close family. I was not close family. Of course, I said. Tomorrow then. Tomorrow, Bruno agreed. Tomorrow came. I drove to the hospital with a teddy bear, a soft yellow one, gender neutral, that cost more than I wanted to admit, and a card I'd written and rewritten 3 times. Bruno met me in the hallway. He looked exhausted, beautiful, transformed. Can I see her? Yeah, just, Rosa's feeding her right now. Maybe give it like 20 minutes. I waited in the hallway for 45 minutes. Hospital staff walked past. Families came and went. I sat with the teddy bear and the card, and I waited. Finally, Bruno appeared. Okay, come on. Rosa was in bed, Elena in her arms, wrapped in a pink blanket. Rosa's mother, Patricia, sat in the chair beside them, holding Rosa's hand. Aitana, Rosa said, her voice tired but warm. Meet your granddaughter. I approached slowly, carefully, like I might spook them. Elena was sleeping, her tiny face peaceful, her mouth making little sucking motions. Can I hold her? Rosa and Patricia exchanged a look. A quick one, but I caught it. Maybe next time, Rosa said. She just fell asleep and I don't want to disturb her. You know how important sleep is for newborns. I didn't argue. I stood there for 15 minutes looking at my granddaughter from 3 feet away, and then I left. December 2021. The new rules. They brought Elena home 3 days later. I decorated the nursery, the living room really, with a banner I'd made myself. Welcome home. Elena. Rosa took one look at it and said, oh, how sweet. But we're going for more of a minimalist aesthetic, for the baby's visual development. The banner came down. The rules multiplied. Visitation hours, I could see Elena from 2:30 p.m. on weekdays if she was awake, and if Rosa wasn't feeding her or putting her down for a nap. Holding privileges only when Rosa or Bruno was present. Just until we establish our routine, Rosa explained. Kissing, no kisses on the face. Germs, Rosa said. I'm sure you understand. Perfume, none. I'd worn the same lavender scent for 20 years. I stopped wearing it. Noise whisper level only when the baby was sleeping, which seemed to be always or never depending on what I wanted to do. I watched my granddaughter grow through windows and doorways. I watched Rosa's mother, who flew in from Los Angeles twice a month, hold Elena for hours, kiss her cheeks, sing to her in Spanish. Why can she kiss her? I asked Bruno one day, trying to keep my voice even. What are your mother-in-law? She kisses Elena's face. I was told not to. Bruno looked uncomfortable. Rosa's mom is just here so rarely, and they're really close. Close. That word again. The nanny in June. Rosa hired a nanny, Lydia, a sweet woman in her 50s with kind eyes and references from 3 families in Beverly Hills. I need to get back to work, Rosa explained, and with both of us working from home, we need someone to help with Elena during the day. Lydia was there from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. 5 days a week. She fed Elena. She changed Elena. She played with Elena. She sang to Elena in Portuguese and made her laugh. I would hear them through the walls of my small bedroom. Elena's giggles, Lydia's soft voice, my granddaughter's life happening without me. One afternoon I was making tea in the kitchen during approved kitchen hours, and Lydia came in with Elena. "Oh, Ms. Aitana," she said warmly. "Want to hold the baby?" I reached out automatically, ready to take her. "Lydia." Rosa appeared in the doorway. "I've told you, no one holds Elena without checking with me first." Lydia's face fell. "I'm sorry, Ms. Rosa. I thought family—" "It's fine, just remember." After that, Lydia started avoiding me, making excuses. "Oh, Ms. Aitana, I would, but it's almost nap time. I'd love to, but Miss Rosa wanted her in the nursery." I stopped asking. December 2021, Elena's first Christmas. I bought gifts. So many gifts. A wooden toy chest I had custom made. Books, all the books I'd read to Bruno, plus new ones. A handmade quilt with her name embroidered in the corner. A silver locket with space for a photo. Christmas morning, we opened presents in the living room. Elena was 8 months old, crawling, babbling, discovering the world with that wonder only babies have. She opened my gifts last. I say opened, but really Rosa did, while Elena chewed on wrapping paper. "This is all so generous," Rosa said, but her smile was tight. "Though we're actually trying to follow a Montessori approach. Natural materials only. These plastic books are, well, they're sweet, but we probably won't use them." "They're board books," I said. "Babies need board books. We have a different philosophy." After presents, we took a family photo. Rosa's mother was visiting, so she was in it. Bruno held Elena. Rosa stood beside him. Patricia stood on Rosa's other side. And me, Rosa's mother, said, "Aitana, would you mind taking the picture?" So I did. I took a photo of my son, my granddaughter, my daughter-in-law, and a woman who saw Elena more than I did. And I was not in it. New Year's Day 2022. "Aitana, we need to talk." Rosa asked me to sit down in my own living room. She and Bruno sat across from me, and there was something in their posture, unified front-prepared speech, that made my stomach drop. "What's wrong?" I asked. "Is Elena okay?" "Elena's perfect," Bruno said quickly. "This is about living arrangements." "We're going to have another baby," Rosa said. My first reaction was joy, another grandchild, another chance. But then I saw their faces. "That's wonderful," I said cautiously. "Congratulations." "Thank you," Rosa continued. "But we need to make some changes. Elena is getting bigger. The nursery situation isn't sustainable. And with another baby—" "What are you saying?" Bruno leaned forward. "Mom, we need complete control of the household. Just temporarily, until we're through the newborn phase with the second baby. Maybe a year, 18 months. Complete control. It means," Rosa said, her voice soft but firm, "that we need to make decisions about the house without running everything by you. For efficiency, for Elena's stability, and for the baby's safety." I felt like I was falling, but I was sitting still. "This is my house," I said quietly. "We know," Bruno said. "And we're grateful. But Mom, you're not getting any younger. Maybe this is a good time to start thinking about downsizing. There are really nice senior apartments." "Senior apartments, I'm 62, not 90. "We're not saying now," Rosa interjected. "Just eventually. And in the meantime, we need space to be a family. Our family. Our family, not including me." What would this look like? I asked because I was apparently a masochist. Rosa pulled out her phone. Of course, she had a document prepared. Essentially, we'd take over the main floor. Master bedroom stays as his nursery becomes Elena's actual room, office stays as office. The downstairs, your area, would be yours. Separate entrance, separate kitchen space eventually. You want to section off my house? We prefer to think of it as creating appropriate boundaries. That word, boundaries. I'd heard it so many times it had lost all meaning. And if I say no? I asked. The silence was deafening. Finally, Bruno spoke. Mom, don't make this harder than it has to be. We're trying to do what's best for the kids. The kids? Not for me. Never for me. I need to think about it, I said. Of course, Rosa said, smiling now, sensing victory. Take your time. We'll need an answer by the end of the month. They left me sitting in my living room, my former living room, soon to be their living room, and I understood. I wasn't being asked. I was being informed. The takeover had a deadline. July 2022. It happened on a Tuesday morning. I woke up early, 5:30 a.m., my usual time, a habit from years of opening shifts at the hospital. I made coffee quietly per the rules. I took it to the kitchen, thinking I'd have an hour of peace before anyone else woke up. The pantry door was open. I could see inside chaos. Boxes stacked haphazardly, cans rolling, loose spices shoved in without organization. It made my fingers itch. I'd organized this pantry for 30 years. I knew every shelf, every corner. I knew that baking supplies went on the second shelf, that canned goods were alphabetized, that pasta belonged in the airtight containers on the left. It was muscle memory. I didn't think. I just started. 20 minutes later, everything was back where it belonged. The pantry looked like itself again. I felt for the first time in months like I had some control over something. I was putting the label maker away when I heard her. What did you do? Rosa stood in the doorway in her robe, her pregnant belly prominent at 5 months, her face red with anger I'd never seen before. The pantry was a mess, so You had no right. Her voice was low, shaking. No right to touch our things, to rearrange our space, to violate our system. Rosa, it's just shelves. It's control, she was shouting now. You can't help yourself, can you? You can't let us have anything. This is exactly what we've been talking about. This boundary crossing, this inability to respect our space. Our space. Something in me snapped. This is my house, Rosa. I bought it. I paid for it. I've lived here for 32 years. And you've held it over us ever since we moved in. Bruno appeared, Elena on his hip. She was crying now, frightened by the shouting. What's going on? Your mother, Rosa said, her voice tight, reorganized the pantry, after we explicitly discussed boundaries. Bruno looked at me, really looked at me, and I saw it, the decision had already been made. He'd already chosen. Mom, he said, and his voice was tired. Why can't you just respect what we've asked? I wasn't thinking. It's habit. I've done this for decades. Exactly, Rosa cut in. You've done this for decades, but it's not your pantry anymore. It's ours, and you can't seem to understand that. I looked at my son, at my granddaughter who was reaching for me even as she cried, at my pregnant daughter-in-law who looked at me like I was a problem to be solved. I'm sorry, I said. I didn't mean... We need some time, Bruno said. We need to figure things out. As a family. As a family, not including me. What does that mean? Rosa and Bruno exchanged a look. The kind of look couples have when they've already discussed something 100 times. It means, Bruno said slowly, that we think it might be better if you stayed somewhere else for a while. Just until we can all calm down and set some clearer boundaries. You're kicking me out. We're asking you to give us space, Rosa corrected. In the house you're letting us stay in, which is incredibly generous, but right now this dynamic isn't working. How long? A week, Bruno said. Maybe 2. Where am I supposed to go? They didn't answer. They didn't have to. It wasn't their problem. That evening they called a meeting. We sat at the dining table, the table I'd bought at a yard sale 31 years ago. The table I'd refinished by hand, the table where I'd helped Bruno with his homework and celebrated his acceptance to college and toasted his wedding. Rosa had her phone out, notes app open. Bruno sat beside her, holding her hand. United Front, prepared speech. I sat across from them alone. We've done a lot of thinking today, Rosa began. Her voice was calm again, professional. This was a business meeting, and we think we need to lay out some clear expectations going forward. She scrolled on her phone, reading from prepared text. Over the past 2 years, there have been consistent issues with boundaries and respect. Today's incident with the pantry is just the most recent example. We've tried to be patient, tried to communicate our needs, but we don't feel heard. I hear you, I said quietly. Let me finish. Rosa's voice was sharp. We've compiled a list of incidents where boundaries were crossed. She began reading. Each point was dated, time-stamped, documented. March 15th, 2021, Aitana entered the nursery without knocking while Rosa was breastfeeding. I didn't know. May 3rd, 2021, Aitana gave Elena a bottle without checking the feeding schedule. She was crying. June 22nd, 2021, Aitana criticized our parenting decision about sleep training. I just said, there are 17 more, Rosa said, looking up. Should I continue? I shook my head. I couldn't speak. Bruno took over. Mom, we love you. You know we do. But this isn't sustainable. We're trying to raise our children in a stable environment, and we can't do that when we're constantly worried about boundaries being crossed. So what do you want? I asked. We want a formal apology, Rosa said. In writing, acknowledging the ways you've violated our boundaries, committing to change. And we need you out of the house until you can demonstrate that you've truly understood what we're asking for. The room was very quiet. I could hear the refrigerator humming. Somewhere upstairs, Elena was crying. Lydia would get her. Lydia always got her. For how long? My voice was steady. I was proud of how steady it was. Until you apologize, Bruno said. Until you show us you're ready to respect our family. Your family. Yes. I looked at my son. At this man I'd raised alone, who I'd sacrificed everything for, who I'd loved more than my own life. And he was looking at me like I was a problem. Like I was the one breaking things. Where do you expect me to go? I asked. Rosa answered. That's not really our concern, Aitana. You chose this situation by not respecting our boundaries. You have resources, you have options, but you can't stay here while you're unwilling to change. We'll give you 48 hours to pack essentials, Bruno added, like this was generous. And 1 week to provide the written apology. After that, what? Silence. We might need to look into other arrangements, Rosa finally said. Legal arrangements, tenant rights, property agreements. Property agreements. For my house. I stood up. My legs were shaking, but I stood. I understand, I said. Mom? Bruno started. No, I understand perfectly. You're telling me that until I apologize for organizing a pantry in my own house, I'm not welcome in my own house. You're telling me that you'll use legal action to enforce this. You're telling me that I need to prove myself worthy of living in the home I've owned for 32 years. That's not, Rosa began. It is, I said. And for the first time in 2 years, my voice was loud. Not shouting, just loud. That's exactly what this is. I walked to my small bedroom and I packed a bag. 1 change of clothes, toiletries, my medications, my laptop, a framed photo of Bruno as a baby, the only one I'd kept in my room. They were still sitting at the table when I came back out. I'll be gone in an hour, I said. You'll have your space. Mom, don't be dramatic, Bruno said. This is temporary. Just write the apology, show us you understand, and I can come back to my own house if I'm good enough. Neither of them answered. I walked to the front door, put my hand on the knob, turned back 1 more time. You know what's funny? I said. I thought family meant something different. I thought it meant showing up, supporting each other, making sacrifices. But you've taught me something new. You've taught me that family means knowing your place and staying in it. Mom, I'll be in touch about my things. I opened the door, stepped onto the porch that slanted slightly to the left, the porch where I'd taught Bruno to tie his shoes. Behind me, I heard the door close, softly, gently, like it didn't matter. And then the lock. Click. I stood there for a moment, bag in hand, keys and pocket keys that no longer worked because they'd already changed the locks, I realized. They'd changed them this afternoon after the pantry incident before the meeting. They'd planned this. I walked to my car, got in, sat behind the wheel. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't pound on the door. I started the engine, and I drove. I drove to a Motel 6 off the highway. $89 a night paid weekly. The room smelled like industrial cleaner and old cigarettes, but it had a bed and a lock that only I controlled. I didn't call anyone. Not my sister Maria in Phoenix, who would have told me to forgive them. Not my old nursing colleagues who would have clucked sympathetically and offered nothing useful. Not my son who had made his choice. Instead, I sat on the scratchy comforter and opened my laptop. Google search, how to sell house fast California. 3 million results in 0.47 seconds. I clicked the first link, then the second, then the 10th. I read for 3 hours straight, my reading glasses sliding down my nose, my back protesting the cheap mattress. Question: can you sell a house while people are living in it? Answer: yes, if you're the sole owner. Question: do you need to tell residents before selling? Answer: if they're tenants with a lease, yes. If they're guests, no. Question: what are squatters' rights in California? Answer: complicated, but guests who don't pay rent have limited protections. I pulled up the property deed. I'd scanned all my important documents years ago, a habit from working in hospitals where you learn that disasters happened and paper burned. There it was, solely owner. Aitana Maria Rivera Bruno's name wasn't on it. Rosa's name wasn't on it. Just mine. I'd never added Bruno because I wanted him to earn his own things. I wanted him to build his own life, not inherit mine before I was done with it. I'd planned to leave it to him in my will, of course, when I was dead. But I wasn't dead. At 2 a.m. I made a decision. At 6 a.m. I made a call. Sharon Kim's office was in a strip mall between a nail salon and a tax preparation service. The sign said Kim Realty, 25 years excellence, and the window displayed photos of sold homes with sold stickers at aggressive angles. Sharon herself was exactly what her office suggested, efficient no-nonsense, probably 60, but looked 50, wearing a blazer that had seen 1,000 open houses. "Ms. Rivera," she said, shaking my hand with a grip that meant business. "You said on the phone you wanted to sell quickly as possible." She pulled out a tablet, fingers already moving. "Tell me about the property." I did. 2-story, 3-bedroom, 2-bath at 800 square feet, built 1987, well-maintained. Quiet neighborhood, good schools, 10 minutes from the freeway. Photos, I pulled them up on my phone. Exterior shots I'd taken for insurance purposes. Interior shots from before Bruno and Rosa moved in. Sharon scrolled, nodding. "Bones are good. Updates needed, but nothing major. Market's still hot even with rate increases." She looked up. "You mentioned people are currently living there. My son, his wife, their daughter. Do they know you're selling?" "Not yet." Something flickered in Sharon's eyes. Not judgment, recognition. She'd seen this before. "Ms. Rivera, I have to ask, is your son on the deed?" "No, just me." "Does he have a lease rental agreement?" "No. They've been staying as guests for 2 years. Sharon set down her tablet. "I'm going to be straight with you. This is going to be messy." "I know." "They're going to fight it." "I know." "You're sure you want to do this?" I thought about the lock clicking, the rules, the pantry. Elena's face at the window while Lydia held her. 2 years of shrinking and shrinking until I was barely visible in my own life. "I've never been more sure of anything." Sharon nodded once sharp. "Okay then, let's run numbers." She pulled up comps, comparable properties in my area, houses like mine recently sold. Based on current market square footage condition, I'd estimate fair market value at $780,000. I blinked. I bought it for $89,000. $1990. Welcome to California real estate. She turned the tablet to show me. "See this 1-2 streets over similar specs sold for $795,000 last month. This one smaller than yours went for $760,000. $780,000. I'd spent 32 years paying off $89,000, and now it was worth almost 9 times that. "How fast can we move?" I asked. "You want fast list at $760,000. Price it to sell. We'll get multiple offers in the first week, probably over asking. I'd target 45-day close. Cash buyers waive inspection." "Will cash buyers waive inspection? For the right price in this market? Absolutely. Investors are desperate." I did the math in my head. 45 days until close. California law required 60-day notice for eviction, but that was for tenants. Guests could be removed faster, but it would still be messy. "If we list today," I said slowly, "when could we close?" Sharon checked her calendar. "Today is July 19th. We could close by September 2nd, maybe earlier if we get lucky. 2 months. I'd been locked out of my house yesterday. In 2 months, it wouldn't be my house at all. Do it, I said. You'll need to sign it whatever you need. I want it listed today. Sharon smiled. Not a happy smile, a respect smile. I'll draw up the paperwork. We listed at 3 p.m. that same day. Sharon had warned me about disclosure requirements. Sellers in California had to disclose everything: roof age, foundation issues, pest problems, and yes, occupants. The listing read, beautiful 3BD, 2BA home in desirable neighborhood. Current occupants are family members without lease agreement. Buyer to assume occupancy situation. Price to sell fast. Won't that scare buyers off? I asked. It'll scare off some, Sharon admitted. But investors, they love a deal. And this is a deal. She was right. By 6 p.m. we had 3 showing requests. By 9 p.m. we had 8. By midnight I was sitting in my motel room watching my phone light up with Sharon's updates. Sharon Kim 4 offers. All cash. Highest at $775K. Sharon Kim, make that 6 offers. New high $790K. Sharon Kim, 8 offers now. This is insane even for this market. At 1 a.m. Sharon called. Aitana, I need you to make a decision. We've got 8 offers, 7 all cash, 1 conventional but offering $800K. What do you recommend? Highest all cash is $775K, 45-day close waiving inspection. From an LLC called Westside Properties Management. They've bought 3 houses in the area this year. They don't care about occupants, they deal with that stuff all the time. Take it. You sure the $800K? I'm sure. I want this done. Okay. I'll send papers in the morning. We'll open escrow by end of week. After we hung up, I sat in the dark motel room and I felt nothing. Not triumph, not sadness, not anger, just a strange hollow calm. My phone buzzed. Bruno, Mom, where are you? We're worried. I stared at the text. Worried. After locking me out. After giving me 48 hours. After demanding a written apology. Aitana, I'm fine. Taking time to think. Bruno, about what? About how I raised a son who could lock his mother out of her own home. About how I let myself become invisible. About how love became synonymous with disappearing. Aitana, many things. Bruno, when are you coming back? The question I'd been waiting for. The assumption that I would come back. That I would apologize. That I would shrink back into my corner and be grateful for whatever space they allowed me. Aitana, I'm not sure yet. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Disappeared. He didn't know what to say to a mother who didn't immediately comply. I turned off my phone and went to sleep. The next 4 weeks were a masterclass in compartmentalization. I woke up at 5:30 a.m. in a motel room. I went to work at the hospital. I'd kept my part-time consulting position 2 days a week because I'd never been good at being idle. I came back to the motel. I ate dinner from the microwave. I signed paperwork that Sharon sent over. And I didn't tell anyone what I was doing. Bruno called every few days. The conversations were brief, awkward. Mom, it's been 2 weeks. I know. Have you thought about what we discussed? The apology, the boundaries, the capitulation. I have. And I'm still thinking. Silence. Then, Rosa's really stressed. The pregnancy. Elena's asking for you. That one hurt. Elena, my granddaughter who I'd barely been allowed to know. I miss her too, I said. Then come home. Write the apology. We can move forward. Home. He still called it home, like it was his to offer back to me. I'll let you know, I said and hung up before he could argue. Sharon called weekly with updates. Week 2, appraisal came in at $790K, above purchase price. Buyer is thrilled. Week 3, title is clear. Escrow is moving smoothly. Still on track for September 2nd close. Week 4, we're golden. Buyer is wiring funds next week. You'll need to come sign final papers on September 1st. Week 5. 1 week to close. How are you doing? I'm fine, I said, which was becoming my default answer to everything. Have you told them yet? No. Aitana, you need to tell them. Legally, you need to provide notice. 60 days for... They're not tenants, Sharon. You said that yourself. I know, but I'll tell them when it's done, when they can't stop it. Sharon was quiet for a moment. Okay, it's your call. On August 28th, I drafted the notice myself. California Civil Code 789. 3 required written notice for eviction even of guests. 60 days seemed cruel. But the law was the law. Notice to vacate premises to Bruno Rivera and Rosa Castellano Rivera, re-property located at address. Date August 28, 2024. This notice is to inform you that the above property has been sold. The sale will close on September 6, 2024. Per California law, you are hereby given 60 days notice to vacate the premises. Your final day of occupancy is November 1, 2024. The new owner will take possession on this date. Please make arrangements accordingly. Aitana Maria Rivera, owner. I attached a copy of the purchase agreement with the buyer's name redacted. Proof that this was real. I sent it via certified mail, and I sent it via email to both of them at 11:47 p.m. on August 28th. Then I turned off my phone and went to sleep. My phone exploded at 6:43 a.m. 17 missed calls from Bruno, 9 from Rosa, 3 voicemails, 26 text messages. I made coffee in the motel room's tiny coffee maker, weak, watery, terrible, and I read through them in chronological order. Bruno, 6:44 a.m. What the fuck is this? Bruno, 6:44 a.m. Call me right now. Rosa, 6:47 a.m. This is a joke, right? Bruno, 6:48 a.m. Mom, answer your phone. Rosa, 6:51 a.m. We need to talk immediately. Bruno, 6:52 a.m. You can't do this. You can't just sell the house. Bruno, 6:52 a.m. There are laws. We have rights. Bruno, 6:53 a.m. Call me or I'm calling the police. I sipped my terrible coffee and I felt calm, eerily calm. I called Bruno at 7:00 a.m. exactly. He answered on the first ring. What the fuck, Mom? Language, Bruno. Don't you fucking language me right now. Did you sell the house? Yes. Silence. Complete ringing silence. You actually sold it 31 days ago. It closes Friday. 31 days, he was shouting now. I could hear Rosa in the background saying something sharp. You've known for a month and you didn't tell us. I'm telling you now. You have 60 days to find new housing. We have a child, Mom. We have a baby coming in 3 months. Where the hell are we supposed to go? That's not my concern, Bruno. The words came out cold. Colder than I intended. Or maybe exactly as cold as I intended. Not your mom. This is our home. No, I said quietly. It's my house. You asked me to leave it, so I did, and then I sold it. We asked you to apologize, to respect boundaries, not to... You locked me out, Bruno. You gave me 48 hours to pack. You demanded a written apology for organizing a pantry in my own house. That's not we were trying to... Rosa grabbed the phone. I heard the fumble, then her voice shaking with rage. This is illegal. We live here. We have rights as tenants. You're not tenants. You never signed a lease. You never paid rent. You're guests who overstayed. We have a baby. I know. I barely got to meet her. You're being vindictive. I'm being clear. 60 days. Use them wisely. We'll sue you. We'll fight this. You can try. But the house is already sold. The deed transfers Friday. Your fight would be with the new owner, not me. I could hear Rosa's breathing fast and furious. You're going to regret this, she said. Maybe, but at least I'll regret it in peace. I hung up. The phone rang immediately. I declined the call. It rang again. I turned it off. At 9 a.m. my phone was still off, but my email was exploding. From Rosa Castellano Rivera, subject legal action. Aitana, we have consulted with an attorney. What you're doing is elder abuse in reverse. Financial manipulation. Constructive eviction. We will be filing complaints with the California Department of Real Estate and pursuing legal action for emotional distress. You are destroying your grandchildren's stability. Elena will remember this. The new baby will grow up knowing what you did. Reconsider before it's too late. Rosa, I read it twice. Then I archived it. From Bruno Rivera, subject, Mom, please, Mom. I don't understand what's happening. This isn't you. You're not cruel. You're not vindictive. Something's wrong. Are you having a breakdown? Do you need help? Please talk to me. Please don't do this. We can fix this. I'll apologize. Rosa will apologize. We can go to family therapy. Whatever you need. Just don't take our home. Please. Bruno, that one was harder. I could hear my son in every word. The boy who'd cried when he scraped his knee. The teenager who'd asked me to teach him to drive. The young man who'd hugged me when he got his college acceptance letter. But I could also hear the man who'd locked me out, who'd sided with his wife over his mother, who'd made rules for my existence in my own house. I started typing. Bruno, I'm not having a breakdown. I'm having a breakthrough. For 2 years, I gave you everything. My bedroom, my bathroom, my kitchen, my space, my money, my dignity. And it was never enough. You always wanted more. You asked me to leave. I left. You wanted the house. Now someone else has it. I'm not being cruel. I'm being clear about what you taught me, that family is conditional, that love has limits, that my place is wherever you decide it should be. You have 60 days. I suggest you use them. Mom, I hit send before I could reconsider. By afternoon, Bruno had hired an attorney. From law offices of Mitchell & Associates to Aitana Rivera Re Property Dispute. Dear Ms. Rivera, we represent Bruno Rivera and Rosa Castellano Rivera regarding the property located at address. Our clients dispute your right to sell this property without their consent, as they have been residents for 2 years and have made significant financial contributions to its upkeep and improvement. We are prepared to file for an injunction to halt the sale and cloud the title until this matter can be properly adjudicated. Please contact our office immediately to discuss resolution. Thomas Mitchell, E. Esquire. I forwarded it to Sharon. She called within 10 minutes. Aitana, don't panic. This is a scare tactic. Will it work? Did they ever pay rent? No. Do you have any written agreements about property ownership? No, just my name on the deed. Then they have no case. They can file whatever they want, but no judge will grant an injunction. You're the sole owner. You have the right to sell. What about the money Rosa took, the $15,000? Did you authorize it? I reacted to a text with a heart emoji. That's authorization. Weak, but authorization. And regardless, it doesn't give them ownership rights. So the sale will go through? Friday at 10 a.m., I guarantee it. That evening, my sister Maria called. Aitana, what the hell is going on? Bruno called you. Of course he called me. He says you sold the house out from under him with a pregnant wife and a baby. He locked me out first. So this is revenge. This is consequence. Maria sighed, the big sister sigh, the one that said I was being difficult and she was being patient. Aitana, I get it. They were disrespectful. But selling the house, that's nuclear. They went nuclear first. They're kids. Bruno is 37 years old. He's not a kid. You know what I mean. They made mistakes, but you're punishing your grandchildren. Elena. Always it came back to Elena. The grandchild I barely knew. The baby I wasn't allowed to hold without supervision. I'm not punishing anyone, I said. I'm reclaiming my life. By making them homeless. They have money. Rosa's family has money. They have jobs. They have options. What they don't have is my house. You sound cold. I sound clear. Maria was quiet for a long moment. When did you become this person? When I stopped being invisible. I hung up before she could argue more. On September 1st, I went to Sharon's office to sign final closing papers. The conference room was small, professional, smelling of coffee and paper. Sharon had everything organized in neat stacks, deed transfer settlement statement disclosure forms. Buyer's attorney is reviewing on their end, she said. We should have final signatures by end of day. Have you met the buyer? I asked. No, it's all been through their attorney and the property manager. Pretty standard for LLC purchases. What do they plan to do with it? Sharon shrugged. Rental property, probably. That's what most investor LLCs do. Buy, rent it out, hold for appreciation. So Bruno and Rosa would be kicked out and strangers would move in. Or maybe it would stay empty. Either way, it wouldn't be theirs. At 4:47 p.m., Sharon called. We're closed. Deed is recorded. Money is in escrow. It'll hit your account Monday morning. That's it. That's it. Congratulations, Aitana. You're $721,250 richer. After deducting agent fees and legal costs, that's what I'd netted. Almost $750,000 from a house I'd bought for $89,000 with my last savings and 3 years of hope. Thank you, Sharon. What will you do now? I looked around my motel room, the water-stained ceiling, the TV that only got basic cable, the window overlooking a parking lot. I'm going to find an apartment by the ocean, I said, with a balcony and good light and space that's only mine. Sharon laughed. You've earned it. That night I sent one final text to Bruno. Aitana, the house sold today. New owner takes possession November 1st. You have 60 days from today. Bruno, I can't believe you did this. Aitana, I can't believe you thought I wouldn't. Bruno, when did you become so cruel? I stared at that message for a long time. Aitana, I didn't become cruel. I became clear. There's a difference. Aitana, for 2 years you taught me that I was only welcome when I was useful, that my love only mattered when it looked like what you wanted. That home was a place I could be removed from for reorganizing a pantry. Aitana, you taught me those lessons very well. Aitana, now you get to learn what it feels like when someone takes them to heart. Bruno, we needed boundaries. We have children. Aitana, and I needed dignity, but that didn't seem to matter. Bruno, what do you want from us? It was a good question. What did I want? An apology too late. My house back. It was gone. My son back. The person who'd locked me out had proven who he'd become. Aitana, I want you to understand that respect isn't optional, that boundaries go both ways, that you can't build your happiness on someone else's invisibility. Aitana, but mostly I want you to figure your life out without using mine as the foundation. Bruno, you're really not going to help us, Aitana. I helped you for 37 years. Now you get to help yourself. I turned off my phone. Tomorrow I would start looking for apartments by the ocean. Tomorrow I would start painting again. Tomorrow I would start living like someone who mattered. But tonight I sat in my motel room and I didn't cry. I didn't regret. I just breathed. And I was free. Month 1, October 2024, the apartment was on the 3rd floor of a building in Santa Monica, 2 blocks from the beach. 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 650 square feet of space that was entirely completely mine. First and last month plus deposit, the landlord said, a woman named Catherine who wore reading glasses on a chain. That's $7,200. I wrote the check without hesitation. After 32 years of mortgage payments, rent felt like breathing. The apartment was empty when I got the keys. White walls, clean floors, a kitchen with a window over the sink. I stood in the middle of the living room and turned slowly, arms spread wide, and laughed. Actually laughed. There was no one to tell me to be quiet. I bought furniture piece by piece. A couch in deep blue, not because it matched anything, but because I liked it. A small dining table, a comfortable chair for reading. Each purchase felt like reclaiming a piece of myself I'd lost. The best part was the balcony. Narrow, barely big enough for 2 chairs, but from it I could see the ocean between buildings. Every morning at 5:30 a.m. I'd sit there with my coffee and watch the water change colors with the sunrise. I started painting again. Watercolors at first, cheap supplies from the craft store, nothing fancy. I painted the ocean over and over, trying to capture that exact shade of gray-blue at dawn. I wasn't good at it. I didn't care. It was mine. On October 15th, I joined a book club at the local library. 6 women all over 50 meeting every other Thursday. Nobody asked about my family. Nobody pitied me. We just talked about books and drank wine from paper cups and laughed too loud. One of the women, Diane, invited me for coffee afterward. She was 64, divorced with laugh lines and silver hair she wore proudly. "You have that look," she said over lattes. "What look, new divorce energy, except you're not divorced." "I divorced my old life." She raised her cup. "Best kind of divorce." We became friends. Real friends. The kind who texted funny memes and called each other for no reason and met for walks on the beach. I'd forgotten what it felt like to have friends who knew me as Aitana, not just as someone's mother. Through Maria, who still talked to Bruno despite my protests, I heard about their new reality. The condo in Pasadena was small. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, $3,200 a month. Rosa's parents had helped with the deposit, but the help came with strings, weekly dinners, surprise visits, Rosa's mother's opinions on everything. "Bruno's working 2 jobs, Maria told me during one of her increasingly tense phone calls. Day job and Uber at night. Rosa went back to work full-time. Elena's in daycare 10 hours a day." "That sounds difficult," I said, and I meant it. "Don't you feel bad?" "I feel many things. Bad isn't one of them. Aitana, they're your family. They're adults who made choices. Now they're living with those choices. When did you become so cold?" "When being warm almost destroyed me." She stopped calling after that. It was October 28th, 3 days before Bruno and Rosa had to be out of my old house, when someone knocked on my door at 9 p.m. I looked through the peephole. Rosa. She was alone, 5 months pregnant, her face blotchy from crying. My first instinct was to not open the door. My second instinct was the same. But something in her posture, the way she held herself defeated and desperate, made me undo the chain. "What are you doing here?" "I need to talk to you. Please, Aitana. I'm begging you." "How did you find me?" "Your sister. I called her. Told her it was an emergency." She wiped her face. "It is an emergency. For me." I should have closed the door. Instead, I stepped back and let her in. Rosa walked into my small living room and looked around at my paintings on the walls, my books on the shelf, my life that didn't include her. She sat on my couch without being asked, hands on her pregnant belly. "Nice place," she said quietly. "Thank you. You can see the ocean." "Between the buildings, yes." Silence. I didn't help her fill it. Finally, Rosa looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes and said, "I had postpartum depression. Severe. After Elena was born." I remained standing. "Okay." It wasn't okay. It was hell. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't bond with my baby. Every time she cried, I felt like I was drowning. Every time someone tried to help, it felt like they were proving I was failing. "Did you get help?" "Eventually, but not for almost a year. I convinced myself I was fine, that I just needed control. So I controlled everything I could, the house, the rules, the schedule." "You." She was crying now, full sobs that shook her pregnant body. "Every time you tried to help with Elena, it felt like you were showing me up. Every time you gave advice, it felt like criticism. Every time you existed in that house, you reminded me that I was supposed to be grateful. And I just felt trapped." "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "Because I made Bruno think you were the problem. I told him you were undermining us, that your old-fashioned ways were dangerous for Elena. I made him choose between us, and he chose me because that's what husbands do when there's a baby." She looked up at me, mascara running down her face. "I destroyed your relationship with your son. I took your money. I locked you out of your own house. And it's all my fault. Bruno didn't know how bad my depression was. I hid it from him. I made him think you were the issue so I didn't have to admit I was drowning." I sat down finally, but not next to her, in the chair across the room. "What do you want from me, Rosa?" "I want to apologize, really apologize. What I did was unforgivable. I know that. I know you'll never forgive me, but I needed you to know it wasn't you. It was never you. It was me sick and scared, and I made everyone else pay for it." We sat in silence. Outside, I could hear the ocean cars passing, life continuing. "Are you getting help now?" I asked. "Yes. Therapy twice a week. Medication. Bruno knows everything now, I told him last week. He's angry. At me, at himself. He realizes what he lost." "And what did he lose?" "His mother." Fresh tears. "The woman who raised him alone, who sacrificed everything, who loved him unconditionally. He traded that for a sick wife who needed control and a baby who needed stability. And now we have nothing. You have each other. We're barely surviving. Bruno works 16-hour days. I'm pregnant and terrified it's going to happen again. The depression. Elena barely knows us. We eat ramen for dinner. Rosa's parents control our lives because we need their money. And every day Bruno looks at me like he's wondering if I was worth losing you." She stood up, wobbling slightly. "I just needed you to know. That's all. I'll go now." "Rosa." She turned. "I believe you," I said. "About the depression, about the fear. I believe you were sick. But you can't forgive me. No, not yet. Maybe not ever. But I believe you." She nodded. "That's more than I deserve." After she left, I sat on my balcony until midnight watching the ocean turn black under the stars, and I cried. Not for what I'd lost. For what could have been different if Rosa had just asked for help instead of demanding control. The next morning, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Ms. Rivera, this is Jennifer Park. I'm a property manager for the new owner of your former residence." My stomach dropped. "Okay. The owner has requested that I contact you. They'd like to meet with you. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. at the property if that's convenient." "Why, I'm not at liberty to say, but it's important." Against my better judgment, I agreed. I pulled up to my old house, Elena's house, the house I'd sold at 1:55 p.m. A woman was sitting on the porch steps, late 50s, elegant silver-gray hair in a neat bob. She stood when she saw me. "Ms. Rivera, I'm Dr. Sarah Chen. Thank you for coming." We shook hands. Hers was warm, firm. "You bought my house," I said. I did. Walk with me. We walked around the block, the route I'd walked 1,000 times. Past Mrs. Chen's old house, she'd died 3 years ago. Past the elementary school Bruno had attended. Past 32 years of my life. I'm a psychologist, Dr. Chen began. I specialize in family systems therapy, how families function, dysfunction, and heal. When your house came on the market with that listing about occupants without a lease, I was intrigued. Intrigued enough to pay $775,000. She smiled slightly. I did some research. Your realtor mentioned you were in a difficult situation. I pieced together the rest, and I saw an opportunity. For what to do for someone else what no one did for me. We stopped walking. She turned to face me. 20 years ago, I lost my home in a divorce. My ex-husband and his new wife made me feel like a guest in the house I'd paid for, like I was in the way. They eventually pressured me into selling my half for far less than it was worth, and I never got closure, never got justice, just disappeared from my own life. I'm sorry. Don't be. It taught me about power dynamics in families. But when I saw your situation, I thought, here's a chance to do it differently. How to? By creating a path back, with conditions. She pulled out her phone, showed me a document. This is the lease agreement I offered your son and daughter-in-law. They signed it yesterday. I read through it, my heart pounding. Lease terms, $3,800 month, 1-year term, special condition, 1 mandatory family therapy, minimum once monthly proof required. Special condition 2, Aitana Rivera, granted unrestricted visitation rights to see minor child, Elena minimum weekly. Special condition 3, upon successful completion of 1-year lease option to purchase at $800,000. You did this, I said slowly, for me. I did this for all of you. They need accountability, you need acknowledgement, and those children need a stable home. If your son and daughter-in-law do the work, real work, they get their home back. If they don't, they lose it, and you learn something valuable that some people can't change. And if I don't want to participate, then don't. The lease stands either way. But I think you do want to participate. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. I stared at this stranger who'd bought my house and engineered this elaborate second chance. Why? I asked. Because healing requires both consequences and compassion. You gave them consequences. Now I'm offering compassion, but they have to earn it. Session 1, November. Bruno called me a week after Rosa's visit. Mom, can we talk in person? He came alone to my apartment holding 2 coffees like a peace offering. We sat on my balcony, the ocean visible between buildings, and he cried. I'm so sorry, Mom, for all of it. For choosing Rosa over you, for the rules, for locking you out, for making you feel like you didn't matter. You did make me feel that way. I know, and I can't undo it. But I'm in therapy now. We both are. And I'm learning things about myself I don't like. Such as that I'm more like Dad than I thought. He left when things got hard. I pushed you out when things got hard. Different method, same cowardice. You're not your father, Bruno. Then why did I do what he did? Because you're human. Humans make terrible choices when they're scared. He looked at me with red eyes. Can I see you again, regularly? Can I bring Elena? I thought about it. About my new life, my peace, my hard-won freedom, about whether I wanted to risk it. Yes, I said finally, but on my terms, my schedule, my boundaries. Anything you want. Session 2, December. Bruno brought Elena. She was 19 months old, walking confidently, talking in bursts of words. She didn't remember me. Why would she? But when I knelt down and said, Hi, Elena, I'm your Lala, she tilted her head and smiled. Lala, that's what she calls you, Bruno said softly. We showed her pictures, told her about you. We spent 2 hours on my living room floor, coloring with crayons I'd bought just for her. She showed me every scribble, every line, every proud creation. When they left, Elena hugged my leg. Bye, Lala. After they were gone, I sat surrounded by toddler art and cried. Relief tears, hope tears, second chance tears. Session 3, January. The family therapist, Dr. Williams, called me. Aitana, Bruno, and Rosa have requested that you attend a session. You're under no obligation, but I think it could be beneficial. I agreed to 1 session. Just 1. The office was small, comfortable, designed to feel safe. Dr. Williams was a black woman in her 60s with intelligent eyes and an air of quiet authority. Bruno and Rosa sat on one couch holding hands nervously. I sat across from them alone. "Ground rules," Dr. Williams began. "This is a space for honesty without cruelty, for feelings without blame, for listening without defending. Everyone understand?" We nodded. "Good. Bruno, Rosa, you asked Aitana to come. What do you want to say to her?" Bruno spoke first, his voice shaking. "Mom, I want you to know that I see it now. All of it. How we erased you. How we made you feel invisible. How we took everything and gave nothing back. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying I see it and I'm so sorry." Rosa went next. "I was sick, Aitana. That's not an excuse, but it's the truth. I had severe postpartum depression, and instead of getting help, I tried to control everything, including you, especially you, because you reminded me of everything I couldn't be: the perfect mother, the woman who sacrificed the grandmother Elena deserved, and I punished you for my own inadequacy." Dr. Williams turned to me. "Aitana, what do you need them to understand?" I'd thought about this for weeks. What did I need them to know? "You didn't just lock me out of a house," I said, my voice steady. "You locked me out of my grandchild's life, out of my identity as a mother. You made me feel like I only mattered when I was useful. And when I stopped being useful, I stopped existing." "And now," Dr. Williams asked, "now I've learned I can exist without you. And that's both freeing and sad, because I don't need you anymore. And I'm not sure I want to need you again." Bruno's face crumpled. "Mom, let me finish." I looked at both of them. "I spent 37 years being your safety net, catching you when you fell, making sure you always had someone. And you taught me that safety nets are for stepping on. So I removed myself." "What would you need," Dr. Williams asked carefully, "to consider being part of their lives again? Not as a safety net, as a person." I thought about it. Really thought. "I need you to understand that my boundaries matter as much as yours. That I can say no without being punished. That I can see Elena without asking permission or performing for approval. That I'm not required to help you financially, emotionally, physically. If I choose to help, it's a gift, not an obligation." "Can you do that?" Dr. Williams asked them. "Yes," Rosa said immediately. "Whatever you need." "Yes," Bruno echoed. "We just want you in our lives, however you're willing to be there." "And one more thing," I said. "I need to know that if I leave, I can come back. That if I need space, you'll give it without making me earn my way back in. That love doesn't mean always being available." "We understand," Bruno said. "We do." Dr. Williams looked at me. "What do you think, Aitana?" "I think," I said slowly, "that I'm willing to try. Not because I forgive everything, not because it's all okay now, but because I want to know my granddaughter, and because maybe if we all do the work, we can build something new." After the session in the parking lot, Rosa called me back. "Aitana, wait. There's something else." She handed me an envelope. Inside was a legal document. Property deed. Proposed ownership structure. Upon purchase of property located at address, ownership to be divided 50%. Bruno Rivera 50%. Aitana Maria Rivera. "We're buying the house back," Bruno explained, joining us. "Dr. Chen's giving us the option at $800,000. We've been saving everything. Rosa's parents are helping. We'll have enough by June. And when we do," Rosa continued, "we want your name on the deed. Equal ownership. So you can never be locked out again. So we can never do to you what we did." I looked at the document, at my name typed next to my son's. "No," I said. They froze. "I don't want it." "Mom, I don't want half ownership of that house. I don't want any ownership. But, because I don't need it. I have my own place now, my own space. And you need to own your life completely, not share it with me out of guilt." "It's not guilt," Bruno said desperately. "It's love." "Then show me love differently." Rosa's voice was small. "How?" I thought about it, about what I really wanted, about what would actually heal this family. "Put the house in a trust," I said, "for Elena and for the new baby when they're born. Make it theirs, managed by you until they're 25, so they grow up knowing this is stable. This is ours. No one can take it." "But you," Bruno started. "I'm teaching them something you had to learn the hard way, that home isn't about ownership. It's about security, about knowing you belong, They should have that from the start. Rosa was crying again. You're giving our children what we took from you. No, I said. I'm breaking the cycle, so they never have to learn these lessons the way we did. Bruno hugged me then. Really hugged me. The kind of hug that says I see you. I'm sorry. I'm trying. Thank you, Mom, he whispered, for not giving up on us even when we gave up on you. I didn't do it for you, I said honestly. I did it for me, but I'm glad you benefit from it. April 2026, Elena's 4th birthday. I drove to the house. Elena's house held in trust for her and her baby brother Lucas with my tres leches cake and a gift bag. Rosa opened the door 8 months pregnant with their 3rd child glowing. Aitana, your early perfect timing. Can you help me with the piñata? Of course. We worked together in the backyard, hanging the piñata from the old oak tree. The same tree Bruno had climbed as a boy. Some things stayed. How are you feeling? I asked. Huge. Tired, but good. Really good. She smiled. I have a whole postpartum plan this time. Therapist lined up meal train organized medication ready. We learned. Good. Elena ran over, covered in frosting. Lala, come sing. We gathered around the cake, the one I'd made, the one with 4 candles. Bruno held Elena. Rosa took photos. Their friends were there. Rosa's parents. My sister Maria, who'd finally stopped lecturing me. Dr. Chen was there too. We'd become friends, meeting for coffee once a month. 2 women who understood what it meant to lose yourself and find yourself again. Beautiful party, she said. They've come far. So have you. Later, as the sun set, I sat on the porch with Bruno, our old spot. Mom, can I ask you something? Always. Do you regret it? Any of it? I looked at my son, at this man who'd broken my heart and spent 2 years piecing it back together, who'd learned that love and respect aren't optional. Regret selling the house, no. Regret that it came to that. Yes, but regret is just grief wearing a different mask. And I'm done grieving what we were. I'm too busy enjoying what we're becoming. I love you, Mom. I love you too, baby. I drove home to my apartment, to my ocean view, to my paintings and my books and my life that belonged only to me. My phone buzzed. Bruno, thank you for the cake. Elena says it's the best birthday ever. Bruno. And thank you for teaching us that love isn't about holding on. It's about knowing when to let go and when to come back. Aitana, you're welcome. See you next week for dinner. I stood on my balcony with a glass of wine and watched the sunset paint the ocean gold. They say you can't go home again, but I learned something different. Sometimes you have to burn the house down to teach the people you love what home really means. Not a place you own, not a space you control, but a feeling you earn through respect, through boundaries, through love that doesn't demand you disappear. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do isn't leaving. It's coming back when they've finally learned to hold the door open. Not because you need them, but because they've learned they need to deserve you. I painted until the stars came out the ocean whispering its ancient song, and I was free.